Dreams Beneath the Dome. The Wonders of Cremenos. Imagine drifting off to sleep with a tale about a remarkable place beneath the ocean waves, a city unlike anywhere else on Earth. Picture yourself nestled comfortably under your blankets, ready for a peaceful night's rest as the story of the underwater city of Cremenos unfolds. This extraordinary metropolis isn't just a single city. It's a breathtaking blend of the world's most iconic urban landscapes, all tucked safely under a massive glass dome on the ocean floor. If you were to wake up in one of its cozy one-bedroom apartments in the bustling downtown area, you might feel like you're in a place like New York City or Tokyo. Gazing out your window, you'd see towering skyscrapers made of gleaming glass stretching upward, their reflections casting playful shadows on the streets far below. If you paused to listen, you'd catch the soft murmur of over 30 million people. Yes, that's right, 30 million, starting their day, chatting as they head to work, their voices blending into a soothing hum. Now, suppose you were lucky enough to live in the top penthouse suite at the corner of First Street and First Avenue. From this lofty perch, the view would be nothing short of astonishing. You'd spot famous landmarks from around the globe all at once. The elegant Eiffel Tower of Paris standing proudly next to the sturdy Empire State Building of New York. A short 15-minute stroll through Cremenos would reveal even more wonders. The needle-sharp CN Tower piercing the sky like it does in Toronto, the quirky, curvy dancing house from Prague, and the graceful Gateway Arch of St. Louis, Missouri, its silver curve glinting under the artificial lights. This city is a patchwork quilt of 32 famous cities from across the world, stitched together with incredible detail. According to architectural historians, such a concept draws inspiration from utopian visions of the future, where humanity could recreate its greatest achievements in harmony with nature, even underwater. What truly makes Cremenos stand out, though, isn't just its skyline, it's where it's located. Look up and you won't see a typical sky with fluffy white clouds drifting lazily on a warm summer day, or dark, heavy nimbostratus clouds promising rain. Instead, you'd see the deep, endless blue of the ocean stretching above, shimmering through the thick glass dome that protects the city. Since its creation in the year 2300, Cremenos has never known a rainy day or a chilly breeze. The weather is always mild and dry, a perfect balance maintained by advanced climate control systems. This marvel was born from a collaboration of 30 countries in the 23rd century, a time when rising sea levels and environmental challenges pushed humanity to innovate. They built Cremenos off the coast of Madagascar in the Indian Ocean, where the water is rich with marine life and the ocean floor provided a stable foundation. The city's founders chose a Greek name, Cremenos, which means hidden, a nod to the legendary lost city of Atlantis that inspired its design. Much like Atlantis, a mythical island mentioned by ancient Greek philosopher Plato around 360 BCE, Cremenos is a hidden gem beneath the waves. Unlike Atlantis, however, Cremenos is very real in this story, voted the most beautiful vacation destination for 45 consecutive years. An accolade that tourism boards might attribute to its unique blend of urban splendor and underwater serenity. The artificial lights inside the dome mimic the sun's daily journey, rising in the morning with a soft golden glow and dimming to a warm orange at night. Most of the city's food comes from the surface world, shipped down in submarines through underwater tunnels, but there are also sprawling farms on the city's outskirts near districts like New Cairo. These farms use hydroponic technology, growing plants in nutrient-rich water instead of soil, to produce fresh vegetables and fruits, enough to sustain the population if imports ever falter. Cremenos is roughly the size of Shanghai, one of the world's largest cities, sprawling across about 2,500 square miles underwater. Its population rivals that of massive metropolises like Mumbai or São Paulo. Among the first to call this place home was a man named John, born to parents who moved to Cremenos when it was still new. As a child, John was fascinated by tales of the world above. His parents, who had once traveled across the United States, regaled him with stories of Yellowstone National Park's geysers erupting like clockwork, and the Grand Canyon's vast, colorful depths carved by the Colorado River over millions of years. Little John would plead with them to take him to see these wonders, imagining the wind on his face and the sun warming his skin. But by his teenage years, that curiosity faded. Movies and virtual reality tours of the surface world convinced him that Cremenos was just as stunning, perhaps even more so, than anywhere else. For nearly 50 years, John worked as a window cleaner, a job he took up at age 15. Each morning, he'd receive an email listing the spots on the glass dome, both inside and out, that needed his attention. Driving his trusty pickup truck, he explored every corner of Cremenos, from the narrow alleys of tiny Tokyo to the wide boulevards of New York. He must have circled the dome's edge 1,000 times, memorizing every curve and crevice. The city's layout, modeled after 32 global icons, ranges in size between Singapore, about 280 square miles. John loved his job, not just for the views, but for the people. Every day brought him to a new district where he'd chat with locals and pick up bits of their languages, phrases in Japanese, French, Swahili, and more. Studies suggest that multilingual exposure, even casually, boosts cognitive flexibility, and John's sharp memory likely owed something to this. As retirement neared, he dreamed of relaxing on the sandy beaches of Little Lisbon, a district inspired by Portugal's coastal charm, or the Melbourne district, with its laid-back Australian vibe. After decades of scrubbing glass, he longed to feel the sand between his fingers, close his eyes, and listen to the artificial seagulls, programmed to mimic their real counterparts, circling overhead. He pictured spending entire days watching fish swim past, their scales catching the dome's light in a dance of colors. The day he met his replacement, a young boy named Tayo, John's routine began as always. His alarm blared at 5 a.m., and after hitting snooze twice, his creaky knees carried him out of bed. He lived in a modest one-room apartment in the Chicago district, where giant fans on the dome's roof mimicked the windy city's gusts, sometimes reaching speeds of 20 miles per hour, according to city engineers. Pulling back the curtains, he saw the neon glow of bars and clubs below, casting a soft light into his room before the artificial sunrise kicked in. Other districts had their own weather quirks. In Second Stockholm, workers spread synthetic snow in winter, creating snowbanks and a skating rink that looked like a frozen pond. In Second Seoul, summertime brought sprinkler rain showers from the dome's roof, soaking anyone caught underneath, a playful nod to monsoon season. John's breakfast was simple: oats imported from Canada, milk from a dairy farm near New Cairo, where cows grazed on algae-based feed, and dried seaweed harvested by local fishermen. After a cold shower to shake off sleep, he slipped into his worn denim overalls, his name stitched across the chest. By the time he rode the elevator from the 37th floor to the street, the artificial lights were glowing, and the city was waking up. The quiet was broken only by the hum of taxis, electric vehicles designed to mimic their surface counterparts. Looking up, he could see the faint glow of the real sun filtering through the ocean, turning the water a greenish hue. Post-retirement, John planned a submarine trip to London, despite friends suggesting he visit the local London district instead. He craved the real thing: a ride on the London Eye, a view without the Eiffel Tower or Empire State Building in sight, and a chance to compare all 32 cities to their underwater twins. Driving through districts like Cape Town, Prague, and Paris, John tuned into the morning news, the radio switching languages with each border he crossed: Xhosa, Czech, French. He ended up in Little Lisbon, a serene corner built around an artificial harbor with a sandy beach that stopped at the dome's edge, where the ocean began. Cobblestone streets lined with white buildings and red-orange roofs gave it an old-world feel, reminiscent of Portugal's coastal villages. Shopkeepers, sweeping sand from their stoops, waved at John. They knew him from his weekly visits. At his favorite cafe, the owner, a woman from Lagos, Nigeria, greeted him with "Hola dia" and served him espresso and buttered bread. Her husband, an engineer, was working on a new district in the city's west, Rumors swirled it might be Buenos Aires, São Paulo, or even Mexico City, expanding Cremenos' global tapestry. After breakfast, John drove to the beach, parked near a resort, and walked barefoot to the dome's edge. Seagulls swooped for stray fries, part of a budding ecosystem that planners hoped to enrich with regional wildlife. Kangaroos in Melbourne, for instance, were an early success. Sitting in the sand, John watched blue fish shimmer outside the glass, their bellies glinting like jewels. A coral reef, bursting with every color imaginable, hugged the dome's base, home to sea turtles, dolphins, and more. Nozzles in the sand puffed out a salty sea scent, a detail inspired by olfactory research to enhance immersion. John inspected the glass for cracks, a rare find in 50 years, thanks to its 3-foot thickness, before starting his cleaning routine with a squeegee and soapy water. Mid-morning, a boy approached. Tall, broad, with dark skin and curly hair. "Are you my new assistant?" John asked. The boy, Tayo, nodded and shook his hand. At 16, Tayo had just moved from Porto, Portugal, and was homeschooled, working mornings to learn responsibility. He reminded John of himself at that age, shy but eager. Teaching Tayo to spot cracks with a flashlight, John felt a kinship. By noon, the beach buzzed with families and couples, a multilingual chorus filling the air. Over lunch, sandwiches on a towel, Tayo described Porto's beauty. The Douro River's wine-soaked banks, red-tiled roofs, and the Dom Luis I Bridge's stunning views. John reassured him Cremenos was safe, tossing a stone at the glass to prove its strength. Later, an octopus the size of a bus suctioned onto the dome, its tentacles thick as John's legs. Laughing, John told Tayo they'd clean it off from the outside. Driving to New York's submarine house, shaped like the Taj Mahal, they donned scuba gear and swam out via an airlock. In the silent ocean, they scrubbed algae and octopus slime, marveling at neon fish, swaying coral, and playful dolphins. From the dome's top, Cremenos looked like a bullseye. 32 districts radiating from a central pond, each a slice of the world, London's Eye, Beijing's temples, Rome's Colosseum. As the artificial sunset glowed, John rode the local London Eye, dreaming of real sunsets and a journey to see all 32 cities for himself. As John and Tayo swam back through the airlock into the submarine house, the day was far from over. The transition from the weightless silence of the ocean to the hum of Cremenos' bustling interior was always a jolt for John, like stepping out of a dream into reality. They peeled off their scuba suits, the salty tang of seawater lingering on their skin, and returned the gear to the employee station. Tayo's eyes were wide with wonder, still processing the underwater adventure. John clapped him on the shoulder and said, "You've only scratched the surface of what this city has to offer. Stick with me and you'll see it all." Tayo grinned, his earlier hesitation about living underwater melting away like ice in the artificial sun. The pair climbed into John's pickup truck and headed back toward the heart of the city, weaving through the new New York district. This area was a near-perfect replica of Manhattan, complete with a smaller central park where people lounged on synthetic grass, picnicking under trees genetically engineered to thrive without natural sunlight. The park's design was a marvel of urban planning, according to a 2023 article from Architectural Digest, which praised underwater cities like Cremenos for blending nature and technology seamlessly. As they drove, John pointed out the yellow taxis, electric models styled after New York's iconic cabs crawling through traffic. "They don't honk as much as the real ones," he chuckled, "but you can still feel the energy." Their next stop was the Paris district, where John had been assigned to clean the interior glass near a replica of the Arc de Triomphe. The monument stood proudly at the end of a wide boulevard lined with faux limestone buildings, their balconies dripping with ivy grown in hydroponic planters. Cafes spilled onto the sidewalks, their tables crowded with people sipping espresso from tiny cups and nibbling on croissants baked with flour imported from France's Brittany region. The scent of butter and coffee wafted through the air, a detail so authentic that it rivaled Paris itself. John explained to Tayo that the city's planners had consulted with cultural historians to ensure every district captured the essence of its namesake, down to the smells and sounds. In fact, a 2024 report from the Global Urban Studies Journal noted that Cremenos' sensory accuracy was a key factor in its tourism success, drawing over 10 million visitors annually via submarine routes. While John scrubbed the glass, Tayo watched the street below, where a mime dressed in black and white performed for a small crowd, his exaggerated gestures drawing laughter. "Does every district have something like this?" Tayo asked. John nodded. "Everyone's got its own flavor. In Second Rome, you'll see street artists painting replicas of the Sistine Chapel ceiling. In New Delhi, vendors sell spices so strong you'll sneeze from a block away." Tayo's curiosity was piqued, and John could see the boy mentally mapping out his future explorations. Their work took them next to the Melbourne district, a laid-back area modeled after Australia's cultural hub. Here, the dome's glass curved over a beachfront promenade where surfers rode artificial waves generated by underwater pumps, a technology pioneered in the late 22nd century, according to Oceanic Engineering Today. The waves crashed gently against the shore, and the air carried a hint of eucalyptus, piped in through vents to mimic Melbourne's botanical gardens. Kangaroos, part of the city's wildlife initiative, hopped lazily near a cafe serving flat whites and meat pies. John showed Tayo how to clean the glass at an angle to avoid streaks, recounting a time when he'd spotted a rare manta ray gliding past during a shift here. "Big as a house," he said, with wings that flapped like it was flying through the water. As the artificial daylight began to fade, casting a golden hue over the city, John decided to introduce Tayo to one of Cremenos' hidden gems, the Han River in the Second Seoul district. They drove across a bridge modeled after Seoul's Bampo Bridge, where LED lights embedded in the structure pulsed in rainbow patterns, a nod to the real bridge's famous fountain shows. The river itself was a man-made waterway, its current powered by pumps that recycled water through the city's filtration systems. On its banks, high-rise condos gleamed with blue-tinted glass, and street vendors sold kimchi pancakes and spicy tteokbokki, cylindrical rice cakes swimming in red sauce. The garlic and chili pepper smells were so potent that Tayo coughed, then laughed. "It's like the city's trying to wake me up," he said. John grinned. "Wait till you try the food. It's as good as anything topside." They parked near the Lotte World Tower, a skyscraper so tall its spire nearly grazed the dome's ceiling. At 1,800 feet, it dwarfed even the tallest buildings in the real Seoul, a testament to Cremenos' ambition. John led Tayo to a rooftop observation deck where they could see the city's circular layout unfolding below. The central pond gleamed like a mirror, reflecting the artificial sunset, while the 8 spoke-like roads divided the 32 districts into pie-shaped wedges. From this height, they could spot the London Eye spinning slowly in the inner ring, the Colosseum's ancient arches in Second Rome, and the colorful temples of New Delhi nestled among modern towers. "It's like a map of the world," Tayo marveled. John nodded. "That's the idea. You don't just live here, you travel the globe without leaving." As night settled in, the dome's lights dimmed to a soft twilight, and John drove Tayo back to Little Lisbon to finish their day. The cobblestone streets glowed under street lamps designed to look like gaslights, and the sound of fado music, a soulful Portuguese genre, drifted from a nearby tavern. John dropped Tayo off near the beach, where the boy's family lived in one of the white houses with red roofs. "See you tomorrow," Tayo called, waving as he ran off. John watched him go, feeling a pang of pride. The kid had potential. Maybe he'd even stick with the job as long as John had. Alone now, John drove to his Chicago district apartment, the faux wind from the dome's fans rustling his hair as he stepped out of the truck. He climbed the 37 floors to his room, poured himself a glass of seaweed-infused water, a local specialty, and stood by the window. The neon lights below pulsed like a heartbeat, and beyond the dome, the ocean was a dark, mysterious expanse. Retirement was close, and with it, his dream of seeing the surface world. He'd start with London, riding the real London Eye to watch a sunset unpainted by artificial hues. Then, perhaps, Paris for a real croissant, or Tokyo for the chaos of Shibuya crossing. Cremenos had given him the world in miniature, but now he wanted the full-sized version. The next day, John met Tayo at the edge of the New York district, where they tackled a section of glass near the Statue of Liberty replica, a smaller version, but still imposing at 100 feet tall. As they worked, Tayo asked about the city's history. John explained how Cremenos was born in 2300, a response to climate change that had submerged coastal cities worldwide. The United Nations led the charge, he said, with engineers from Japan, architects from France, and funding from everywhere else. They picked Madagascar's coast because the ocean floor here drops to 10,000 feet, plenty of room to build down. A 2022 National Geographic feature had called it Humanity's Boldest Experiment, noting that the dome's glass was a composite stronger than steel, tested to withstand pressures 5 times greater than the Mariana Trench's depths. Tayo listened, scrubbing the glass with newfound confidence. "Do you think it'll last forever?" he asked. John shrugged. "Nothing lasts forever, but this place is built to outlive us all. The glass gets replaced every 50 years, bit by bit, and the systems are self-sustaining. Solar panels on the surface power half the city, and the rest comes from tidal energy." He pointed to a turbine visible through the glass, spinning lazily in the current. "We're not just surviving down here, we're thriving." Their conversation drifted to the future as they moved to the Prague district, where the dancing house's quirky angles leaned over cobblestone streets. Tayo wondered aloud about the new district under construction. "I heard it might be Buenos Aires," he said. "My mom loves tango. She'd be thrilled." John smiled. "Could be. Or maybe Bogota, with its highland vibe. They're keeping it secret till the unveiling next year. Either way, it'll add another layer to this place." A 2025 press release from XAI, the company behind Cremenos's AI systems, hinted that the expansion would incorporate advanced robotics to speed construction, potentially cutting build time from a decade to 5 years. By late afternoon, they reached the Stockholm district, where synthetic snow crunched underfoot and kids skated on the outdoor rink. John showed Tayo how to use a heated squeegee to melt frost off the glass, a trick for colder districts. As they worked, a pod of dolphins swam by outside, their sleek bodies cutting through the water. Tayo pressed his face to the glass, mesmerized. "I think I could get used to this," he said. John laughed. "You will. Give it time, and this city'll feel like home." As the artificial stars twinkled above, John reflected on his decades in Cremenos. It wasn't just a city. It was a testament to human ingenuity, a place where the past and future collided in a symphony of glass, water, and light. For Tayo, it was a new beginning. For John, a chapter closing. Soon, he'd hand over his squeegee for good, but not before ensuring Tayo knew every secret Cremenos held. With the day's work in the Stockholm district complete, John and Tayo packed up their cleaning supplies and climbed back into the pickup truck. The artificial stars were beginning to flicker on, tiny LED lights embedded in the dome's ceiling that mimicked a clear night sky. John drove slowly through the Stockholm district, passing cozy wooden houses painted in shades of red and yellow, their windows glowing warmly against the synthetic snowbanks. The air carried the faint scent of lingonberry jam and meatballs, a nod to Sweden's culinary traditions that city planners had carefully woven into the district's atmosphere. Tayo leaned against the window, watching a group of children build a snowman with the artificial snow, a material so lifelike that a 2024 Scientific American article described it as indistinguishable from the real thing crafted from polymers that mimicked snow's texture and chill. Their next assignment was in the Madrid district, a vibrant area in the inner ring of Cremenos, known for its low, tightly packed buildings arranged in neat square blocks. Unlike the skyscraper-heavy districts like New York or Second Seoul, Madrid's architecture leaned into a more traditional Spanish aesthetic, with terracotta roofs and stucco walls. As they parked near a plaza modeled after Madrid's Plaza Mayor, John explained the district's charm. "This is where people come to feel grounded," he said. "No towering buildings, just courtyards where families eat tapas and kids chase pigeons." Sure enough, the plaza buzzed with activity. Street musicians strummed flamenco guitars, vendors sold churros dusted with sugar, and couples danced under strings of fairy lights. The dome's glass here was spotless, but John and Tayo gave it a quick polish, ensuring the view of the ocean beyond remained crystal clear. While they worked, Tayo asked about the city's wildlife project. "I saw kangaroos in Melbourne," he said. "But what else do they want to add?" John wiped his squeegee and leaned against the glass. "The planners have big dreams. Think lions in a Cape Town savanna or pandas in a Beijing bamboo grove. For now, they're sticking to smaller stuff. Seagulls, squirrels, maybe some deer for the Montreal district. It's tricky though. Balancing an ecosystem underwater takes precision." A 2023 Nature report had outlined Cremenos' phased approach to wildlife integration, starting with hardy species like pigeons and mice before introducing larger animals. The goal was to create a self-sustaining urban ecosystem, a microcosm of Earth's biodiversity preserved beneath the waves. As the artificial night deepened, John decided to show Tayo one of Cremenos' most serene districts, Montreal. They drove across a bridge spanning the city's central pond, the water reflecting the twinkling starlights above. The Montreal district was a blend of old and new, with cobblestone streets inspired by old Montreal and modern skyscrapers echoing the city's downtown. The air smelled of poutine, gravy-soaked fries and cheese curds, a scent so authentic it rivaled the real thing, thanks to food carts using recipes vetted by Quebecois chefs. John parked near a replica of Mount Royal, a small hill covered in synthetic maple trees that turned fiery red in the fall season, triggered by temperature controls. "Climb up there on a quiet night," John told Tayo, "and you'll see the whole city laid out like a painting." They cleaned a section of glass near the hill, where the ocean outside was alive with bioluminescent plankton, their tiny glowing bodies creating a starry mirror to the dome's ceiling. Tayo pressed his hand to the glass, watching a jellyfish pulse by, its translucent bell glowing blue. "It's like the city and the ocean are talking to each other," he said. John nodded. "That's what makes Cremenos special. You're never just in a city, you're part of the sea too." Marine biologists, in a 2025 oceanography journal study, had praised Cremenos' integration with its underwater environment, noting how the dome's lighting was calibrated to avoid disrupting deep-sea creatures' migration patterns. Their final stop of the night was the Beijing district, a dense cluster of sleek skyscrapers punctuated by traditional red and green temples, their upturned roofs glowing under lantern light. The streets were alive with the chatter of Mandarin and the sizzle of street food, bayozi steaming in bamboo baskets, skewers of lamb grilling over open flames. John and Tayo polished the glass near a replica of the Temple of Heaven, its circular blue roof a striking contrast to the modern towers around it. As they worked, a dragon dance performance unfolded nearby, with performers in shimmering costumes weaving through the crowd to the beat of drums. "This place never sleeps," John said, smiling. "Just like the real Beijing." A Travel Plus leisure feature from 2024 had called Cremenos' Beijing district a masterpiece of cultural fusion, blending ancient architecture with futuristic urban design. As they finished, Tayo shared more about Porto, his hometown. "There's this bookstore, Livraria Lello, with a staircase that twists like a dream," he said, his voice softening. "And the Ribera district, where you sit by the river and eat codfish cakes under the stars." John listened, picturing Porto's colorful buildings and iron bridges. "Sounds like a place worth seeing," he said. "Maybe I'll add it to my list." Tayo's story stirred John's own wanderlust, a reminder of why he wanted to visit the surface world after retirement, not just to see new places, but to feel the history and life behind them. The artificial dawn was hours away, but John and Tayo had one last task, a quick check of the glass in the London district near the London Eye. They drove through the inner ring, passing Big Ben's clock tower, its chimes programmed to ring every hour, and rows of Georgian townhouses. The Eye spun slowly, its cabins offering views of Cremenos' glowing skyline. John didn't clean the glass here, he'd done it the day before, but he walked Tayo to the base of the wheel and pointed up. "Ride this at sunset," he said. "The way the light hits the city, it's like the whole place is made of gold." Tayo looked at the wheel, then at John. "You really love this place, don't you?" John paused, then nodded. "It's been my whole world, but it's taught me there's a bigger one out there too." They stood in silence for a moment, the hum of the city around them, languages blending, laughter echoing, the faint lap of the central pond's water against its banks. Cremenos was a marvel, a city that held the essence of 32 cultures in its glass embrace, yet it also whispered of the world beyond, waiting to be explored. John drove Tayo back to Little Lisbon, where the boy hopped out near his family's house. "Tomorrow we'll hit Rome and Berlin," John called. Tayo waved, his silhouette vanishing into the glow of the cobblestone streets. Alone again, John headed home to Chicago, the dome's fans kicking up a breeze that felt almost real. He parked, rode the elevator to his apartment, and stood by the window, gazing out at the neon-lit streets below and the dark ocean beyond. The city was quiet now, save for the distant pulse of music from a bar. He sipped his seaweed water, thinking of Tayo's enthusiasm, his own years of service, and the journey ahead. Retirement was no longer a distant dream. It was 6 months away, close enough to taste. John imagined stepping off a submarine in London, feeling real rain on his face, hearing the roar of a city unbound by glass. He'd visit Paris, Tokyo, Porto. Every place Cremenos had taught him to love. The underwater city had been his home, his teacher, his world, but it had also given him the courage to seek out the original versions of its wonders. As the artificial stars glowed above, John felt a quiet peace settle over him. Cremenos was a masterpiece, but the world above was calling, and he was ready to answer. On this note, our story gently closes, like the soft click of a door at bedtime. Rest well, and may your dreams be filled with cities beneath the sea, where every street holds a piece of the world.